Let's Spill the Tea fans were shocked to learn last year that Tina Knowles and Richard Lawson were separating because everyone thought they were the endgame, that is, that fairy tale kind of love that was going to last forever. However, the internet is sure that a lot of drama went down behind the scenes before Tina even filed for divorce, and that the divorce was secretly a hot mess. People are even saying that Richard was going to file for divorce because he could no longer stand Tina, but she up him and filed first.
We became friends and it hung out, and I supported her because she was going through a tough time with the divorce and the remarriage of her previous husband. And we just took our time, we became friends, we hung out, we traveled, and little by little, all the things that were naturally connective.
However, as we were trying to piece together how they went from that to divorcing, we couldn't help but notice a few red flags between them that kind of suggested that these two weren't as perfect as we had imagined. For example, despite their claims that they had been friends for more than 30 years and that nothing intimate had happened, they were quickly exposed for lying about the rumors that Richard and Tina had an affair when Richard was married to someone else and Tina had an affair with Matthew. Let's face it, nobody would describe the roughly 30 years that Matthew and Tina were married as a joyride. A year or so after they were married, Tina became pregnant with Beyoncé, went to visit her best friend Gwen. While there, she ran into Gwen's older brother Richard Lawson. Richard was all over Tina from the beginning and didn't give a thought that she was pregnant because he believed it was love at first sight. Matthew was reportedly cheating on Tina left, right, and center with every woman he could persuade to jump into bed with him. Rumor has it, he couldn't keep it in his pants for the marriage was extremely strained at the time because Matthew was reportedly into some illegal substances in his tell-all book he wrote. Turns out he had escalated to stronger and even stranger behaviors, rumor had it, that had long since stopped satisfying his thirst and had turned into a major problem. Richard was already married with a daughter at the time, but he didn't care and was into Tina big time. Tina claimed that she wasn't about that, so she shut that down real quick, sending Richard straight to the friend zone. However, it appears that Tina might not have been completely honest about this. According to David, Tina finally started cheating on Matthew with Richard Lawson and no one else because of the habit. When I went over to the main house one afternoon to get my keyboard, I saw unhappily married Celestine kissing a guy. Immediately, I recognized him as Richard Lawson, a well-known actor. This startled Celestine so much that she had to introduce herself and talk about how weird she was supposed to be at her salon. David wrote, "I reached out to Richard and shared my admiration for his work. He nodded and said it was a joy." After he was let out of the house, Celestine turned. These two finally got together when Tina divorced Matthew for having not one, but two babies with two different women while he was still married to Tina. However, just because she stopped things with Matthew doesn't mean that she was ready to jump into a relationship with Richard, especially since she was still resentful of how dirty Matthew had treated her. "Richard is my cousin," she lied about who Richard was, which is sis AF. It looks like they got together when they were both married.
My husband is getting married. Now, this is my family. My ex-husband is my family.
He is right.
So I'm just very, I don't want to get back into that at all. That's not what I want, but still, it still hurts a little bit, right? It still blows to your ego.
They lived happily for a few years, but there were still some red flags that fans didn't notice at first. For example, Tina kept the last name No after she divorced Matthew, who made her so angry that she became scared to date anyone else. People couldn't help but forget the fact that Tina kept the last name No even after getting married to someone else. Many people thought that Tina kept the last name because both of her superstar daughters carry it. However, Richard said that he backed her through it all, and they fell in love and lived happily ever after. Her kids were more than happy to offer their blessings to the relationship. After marrying Jay-Z and adding Carter to her name, Beyoncé held on to Knowles as if it were her lifeblood. Some people felt that Tina was acting shadily towards her new husband, Richard, but he didn't seem to mind, or perhaps he was just counting his blessings that she gave him a chance. Nevertheless, it didn't take long for people to start complaining about how disrespectful Tina had been to him. For instance, in this now viral interview, Tina seemed to totally disregard his feelings in order to make her point.
And I prayed for the type of man I wanted, and I got pretty much that. Is he perfect? Absolutely not, but he has a lot of the qualities. No. He has a lot of the qualities that I love.
That statement stung the man a lot, and what makes it wilder is that there were several ways she could have played it nice and turned it into a lovely moment, but she chose not to, and it was clear that Richard was hurt beyond belief. On Instagram, Tina also sent him some shade, writing, "I'm careful not to mistake excellence with perfection. Excellence is something I can reach for. Perfection is God's job." I read this morning and I fully agree with Michael J. Fox. I think it's crazy for anyone to think they're perfect or that anyone else could be perfect. I think only God is flawless. And I love you, Mama. The divorce was finally settled peacefully a few days ago, and according to reports, Tina was awarded the right to keep a property in Los Angeles and a separate property in Texas, as well as all furniture, appliances, artwork, and personal effects at both locations. She also gets to keep all earnings acquired since their date of separation and creative works made during their time together. However, fans are sure that this happened because after learning about the reports of their marriage being strained, Richard had grown weary of the way Tina had treated him, and that's why he was tired now. The Matriarch book deal includes a 1% stake in Kirby Beauty Management LLC and Penguin Random House. A 2021 Cadillac Escalade was also given to Richard, along with the right to all earnings made after the accounts were separated. And Richard Lawson Studios incorporated his personal pension plan royalties creative artwork created during their union as well. As individual possessions like clothes and jewelry, Tina also made sure to protect her kids and grandkids, because according to reports the former couple also agreed to a non-disparagement agreement in which they acknowledged their intent to resolve all issues in their dissolution amicably by agreeing to agree on any statements made about their divorce mutually, and will not speak ill about their children and their spouses. But the surprising thing is that she was ordered to pay Richard a one-time payment of $300,000 now. Neither one of them requested spouse or support or alimony. So it's weird that she has to pay him that much. We don't know what the payment is for, because Richard is certainly not broke. However, fans are speculating that it could be some sort of payment for damages for the way Tina allegedly treated him while they were married. Now we don't know if this is true because for all we know it could just be a payment for one of Richard's belongings that Tina wanted to keep in the divorce, so it's hard to say. Fans left comments saying behind every face is a personality, and based on that interview video of Tina insulting Richard like that, it probably was a W from that point. The way she talked about him and their union came off as if she never really wanted him, but settled for him. If she acts like that in public, I can't imagine how she is when the cameras are off. And just because you knew the person before doesn't mean it's going to work when you finally get together. Things change and people change over time. But do you guys think that Tina was really disrespectful to Richard? Or do you think that fans are reaching? Share your thoughts in the comments, and then check out this next video.